Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Framemetric podcast. Today we're talking about decision first versus report first analytics. Most analytics is built to produce reports. Decision first analytics is built to answer questions that matter with evidence you can act on. Let's start with the default model, report first. Most organizations run analytics the same way. Build dashboards. Schedule refreshes. Send weekly packs. Wait for questions. Pull ad hoc reports. Repeat. That's report-first analytics. The outputs are reports, charts, and KPI walls. The goal is to surface numbers. And report-first isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. It works when metrics are stable and well understood, the audience is broad, and you're communicating status, not diagnosing change. But it struggles when decisions need to be made fast, data is messy, or the question changes daily. So why does report first struggle with decisions? Here's what typically happens. Someone sees a chart. A number looks wrong. They ask a follow-up question. An analyst pulls another report. Filters get adjusted. Definitions get clarified. Someone spots an inconsistency. More questions follow. Eventually, the answer gets found. But by then, the original context is lost. Definitions have drifted between reports. And trust has eroded because the numbers didn't match. This isn't a failure of skill. It's a failure of the model. Report-first analytics optimizes for producing outputs. It does not optimize for answering questions. So what does decision first look like? Decision first analytics starts with the question, not the dashboard. Instead of build a report showing income trends, you start with, why did income drop last month? And the system doesn't just return a chart. It returns. The finding, for example, income dropped 15%. The evidence, which data, which filters, which time period. The context, how this compares to prior periods. And the next checks, suggested drill downs to validate or refine. That's not a report. It's an investigation. And this is the core difference. Report first asks, what is the number? Can we get a chart? Can we ship the pack on time? Decision first asks, what changed? Why did it change? What assumptions must be true for this to be trusted? What should we check next? The shift is subtle, but fundamental. One model optimizes for outputs. The other optimizes for understanding. Definitions matter more in decision first. In report first analytics, definitions are often implicit. Active donor means different things to different teams. Income might include or exclude certain transaction types, depending on who built the dashboard. This ambiguity is manageable when people are looking at static reports. It becomes dangerous when AI is involved. Decision-first analytics requires explicit definitions because the system needs to resolve ambiguity automatically. What counts as active? Which fiscal year applies? Which filters are implied? Which sources are in scope? If those rules aren't explicit, the system guesses. And in analytics, guesses look plausible until they're not. This is why governed semantic layers matter. They turn implicit tribal knowledge into explicit, testable logic. Decision first also changes reusability. In report first analytics, ad hoc requests are one-offs. Someone asks, you pull data, you share a screenshot or a PDF. If they ask again next month, you start over. In decision-first analytics, investigations are saved and rerun. A question like, what drove the change in donor retention this quarter, becomes a reusable prompt. Definitions, filters, and drill-down logic are preserved. Next quarter, you rerun the same investigation. The system applies the same logic to new data. Definitions stay consistent. comparisons stay valid. Over time, these saved investigations become a library of institutional knowledge, not buried in someone's head or a forgotten spreadsheet. Maintained, versioned, and reusable. Operationally, the rhythm changes. Report First creates a ritual. Weekly dashboard reviews, monthly board packs, endless. Can you pull requests? Decision First creates a loop. Ask a question, get evidence and suggested checks, investigate further without losing context, save the investigation for next time. The speed difference compounds. Common questions become fast paths. Definitions stay consistent. And teams spend less time arguing about numbers and more time acting on them. Now, Report First still wins in some contexts. It's useful when you need a stable KPI wall for visibility. Metrics are mature and rarely change. And the audience is broad and doesn't need deep investigation. Decision First is better when decisions need to be defended, data changes frequently, follow-up questions are the norm, and trust matters more than speed alone. And the real shift is simple. Report First optimizes for producing outputs. Decision First optimizes for answering questions that matter. If your team spends more time arguing about numbers than acting on them, you don't need more dashboards. You need an investigation layer. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening to the Framemetric podcast. If you found this useful, follow the show. And feel free to share it with someone who's drowning in dashboards, but still struggling to make decisions with confidence.